iRacing has just released their special event calendar for 2024, and it is chock full of so many different kinds of motorsport for you to compete in. There are enduros, there are solo events, there's oval racing, there's dirt racing. There's just so many different things to do, and I'll be going through every single event on the list, giving my tips for each one and what I recommend you should be racing if you're an experienced iRacer, or maybe if you've never done a special event before. Let's get into it. So this is the list of events happening in 2024. I'm going to go through each one and explain an overview and what I think you should look out for if you'll be racing that race. On this weekend, at the time of recording, January 12th to 14th is the Roar, or it used to be called the Roar before the 24. And this is a solo enduro. It features the TCR car, the GT4, and the LMP3. And this is a great warm-up race for the entire year. It's a lot more relaxed than the 24 at Daytona, and it's a good way to get your year started on the right foot. There are 5 time slots all across the weekend to compete in across all time zones, and it's a 2.4-hour race, which is a long way, but super doable on your own. And yeah, it's a great first enduro. If you've never done a special event on iRacing, this is a great place to start. It's a little bit more relaxed. I recommend it. The second event is the Daytona 24. This is from the 19th to the 21st of January. It's team racing, and it's in the hypercar, the LMP2, and the GT3. This is the biggest race in the entire year of iRacing. The most people sign up for this one, and it is busy. If the servers are going to crash through the entire year, this is when they're going to crash. Anyone can do this race, and it's probably because Daytona is really, really easy. There's like 5 corners you need to learn. Anyone can do it. In fact, over 16,000 people last year tried it. So I definitely recommend giving it a go, grabbing a couple of mates and getting into it. Williams Esports won this race last year in the top split outright, even after a little bit of controversy. But if you do want to make top split this year, you'll probably need like well over 9,000 iRating. So good luck with that. I've actually made a whole video on this race already. You can check that out as well somewhere. Yes. The next one is the Daytona 500 from February 13th to 19th. And this one happens over a week, and it actually replaces the NASCAR iRacing series on iRacing, both the fixed and open series. This is a full-length race. It's 200 laps, and it's the biggest NASCAR race of the year. It's a good way to get used to super speedway racing if you've never done it. Honestly, this race it's a lot of chilling and just like trying not to die or fall asleep until you get to like lap 180, and then the racing really starts. There will likely be green flag pit stops in this one, unless you're split like shunts constantly to bring out yellows all the time. So be ready for green flag pit stops. They are surprisingly hard. The next race is the BATHURST 12-hour. It's from February 23rd to 25th. And this is a team race in the GT3 class only. This is one of the trickiest endurance races of the year, mostly because of how difficult Bathurst is as a track. I am a huge fan of Bathurst, and I've made a track guide for it already on this channel as well, but I find it quite difficult in GT3 cars. The speed that you're going with the aero, if you get one slide over the top of the hill, you'll find the wall immediately. Good luck in this one. You can probably do it with 2 drivers, but you'll be very, very tired if you do. The next race is the Sebring 12-hour. It's from March 22nd to 24th, and there is team racing in the LMP2, the hypercar, and the GT3. Sebring is super bumpy, but quite varied. It's a pretty fun endurance race, honestly. It's not the busiest race in the world, but the track is really fun. I find it quite enjoyable to drive, and there's lots of places for faster cars to pass slower car classes as well, so I think it's a good race for multi-class racing. Definitely check it out. The next event is the Road America 500, and this is from April 12th to 14th, and this is a team event in the Nissan GTP and Audi 90 historic IMSA. This one's a historic race. It's at Road America, and I actually won this one last year in the Australian time split, which was surprisingly fun. If you're a fan of historic cars on iRacing, you'll definitely want to race it, and you'll also get to race against the IMSA Classic community on iRacing, who are surprisingly fast. So lots of fun. The next race is the Nurburgring 24, and it goes from May 17th to 19th. This is another team race with the GT3, the Porsche Cup, the GT4, and the TCR car. This race is straight up the hardest of the entire year. The Nordschleife is so dangerous, and you need to stay switched on all the time. One lapse of concentration and you'll find the wall and your whole race will be over. The one thing that does make this race easier is that because the track is so large and the servers aren't so big, you'll often find yourself on a bit of track on your own with nobody else around you. So you can get all lonely on the Dottinger in the nighttime in the dark, and you'll just be on your own, and it's kind of relaxing, but also scary. Anyway, fun race. The next race is the Kirk 600, May 21 to 27. This is the longest race of the season for NASCAR, and it also replaces NIS for the week. And this ends up being 400 laps of Charlotte, which takes over 3 hours. And in length, it's basically an entire Bathurst 1000 on your own with no driver changes. I've never attempted this race, and I'm not sure if I ever want to. It just seems so oppressingly long, but if you're into it, give it a go. Hi, so I recorded this video yesterday. It's now today. I recorded it and then I went to bed, and then iRacing announced that they now have the IndyCar license. So great news. And that probably means that around this time in May, there will be an Indy 500 that you can race in, which is awesome. It's 200 laps of Indianapolis in the IndyCar. It's honestly my favorite special event race of the year. I've come very close to winning it once. I led the Indy 497.5 with one to go, and then I ran out of fuel. So that was pretty heartbreaking, but you should do this race. It's really good, and yay, IndyCar. Okay, good. Back to yesterday. The Watkins Glen 6 hour is from June 14 to 16, and this is another team event in the Hypercar, LMP2 and GT3. And this one is probably, I would say, one of the most chill endurance races of the year. Watkins is a super high speed track, and it's generally wide enough for multi-class racing to happen there, but somehow everyone always seems to lose their minds in this race. You need to be really careful through the S's on the first lap, because if someone loses at the front, the entire field will die and it'll be carnage. So yeah, give it a go. This is a good endurance race for beginners, but be wary of shenanigans. The Brickyard 400 is July 16 to 22, and this is the NASCAR race at Indianapolis, and it replaces NIS for the week. It's a new special event this year, as NASCAR is returning to the Oval at Indy. Give it a go if you're into NASCAR. The cars feel honestly kind of strange around Indianapolis, but it's kind of fun as well. The next event is the MS charity event. This is still like TBD and all that. So this is a charity event put on by iRacing. Last year it was the Peachtree 3 at Road Atlanta. And this is a fun race, generally raising money for a good cause. There's lots of wacky things in this race, like you can donate to give other players like drive-through penalties and stuff like that. So that's a lot of fun. And also iRacing has a habit of revealing new information during this race. So if you're interested in new info about like upcoming cars or tracks, watch the broadcast for this one, because you'll probably see something announced for the first time. Next is the Spar 24. This is from July 19th to 21st, and it's a team event in the GT3. And this is one of those races that gets really, really sweaty in top split. It's a relatively fun one, and if you're into Spar or GT3 racing, give it a go. Also, if you like crazy racing in general, go race the official GT3 series on iRacing in the week leading up to this race, because literally every driver in the world is on iRacing doing practice for the 24, and the racing is mental. It's chaos, it's busy, there's sometimes like hundreds of signups for each race, and if you're into that, definitely go sign up for it. Next is the Martinsville MX500 from July 30 to August 4th. This is a new endurance race in the MX5, and is based on a real-life race that will likely be taking place after Mazda tested their MX5 race car on the short oval last year. And that test was actually based on an iRacing race called the Mooncar 24. It's a 24-hour race run by Moonhead, who's a Twitch streamer, and 24-hour race around Martinsville in the MX5, which kind of sounds like absolute torture to me, to be honest, but apparently it's a lot of fun. So this one is an iRacing race that's based on a real-life race that's based on an iRacing race. Next is the Cron Championship on August 24. This is in the Pro 4 truck, and this is a dirt truck race with a land rush start. This is the biggest race of its kind for the year, so if you're into dirt racing and jumpy trucks, definitely give it a go. It has super sessions, so this one means that you qualify during the week in like official races, and then there'll be one race on the weekend where all the people with the highest points from the week will get invited, and that race on the weekend will decide the winner of the Cron Championship. The Indy 6 Hour is from September 13 to 15. It's a 6-hour race with the Hypercar P2 and GT3. It's another multi-class endurance race. Nothing much to say about this one. It's sort of like Watkins, but it's at Indy. The track is honestly kind of boring, but yeah, give it a go if you like the Indy road course, I guess. Next is the Bristol 500 on September 17 to 23. This is another NASCAR race that replaces NIS for the week, and this is the tightest track in NASCAR, and it's a crazy race here. I've driven it before, and you go like completely dizzy. You can't see outside the banking, and the world seems to like drip away, and you get tunnel vision, and then you crash. So run this race if you like going in circles, and probably run the top, I think. I think that's a meta. Or maybe the bottom. One of the two. Good luck. Next up is the Knoxville Nationals on September 27 to 29, and Knoxville is the biggest sprint car race in the entire world, and it takes place over a whole week of preliminary races before a final on Saturday. This one also has super sessions, so you'll qualify in the week and then race it on the weekend and hopefully make it through to the A main. Good luck. Next up is the Bathurst 1000 on October 4th to 6th, and yeah, Australia, Ford, Holden, V8 Supercars, Kangaroos, Shrimp on the Barbie, good day. This is a 161 lap race in the V8 Supercar. You will need a buddy for this race, but it's a good race at the mountain. Watch out for tactical echidnas, rocks, trees, and angry spectators on the podium if your race gets red flagged as well. Next is the Petit Le Mans on October 18 to 19. It's a team race in the Hypercar P2 and GT3, and it is the last multi-class race for the year, so get down at Road Atlanta. This track is awesome. It's like my favorite in iRacing, but it is kind of mental in multi-class. I'm not sure why they call it Little Le Mans, because the track's not really kind of like Le Mans at all, but it is still fun. If you do want to watch inspiration for this one, there is a video of Max Verstappen starting 14th in top split and passing every single car over the first hour of the race to take the lead. It is on YouTube and it's mental. It's like the most hectic hour you'll see of iRacing, and yeah, give it a watch and just do exactly what Max does in your race and you'll win. Easy. The BRSCC iRacing Formula Ford 1600 Festival is on November 3rd. This one is based on the real-life Formula Ford Festival at Brands Hatch. It's still going today, and while it's not the biggest race anymore, once upon a time this was up there with Macau as the junior single-seater race to win in the whole world. Past winners include Mark Webber, Johnny Herbert, Jenson Button, and Anthony Davidson. Next up is the Fuji 8 Hours, November 15th to 17th. This is another team race in the GT3 car. Fuji is honestly a really underrated track, and it's a great track for endurance racing, so get out there and win. I believe in you. Next is the CCA Runoffs on November 23rd. I'm not from America, but as far as I'm aware, the CCA Runoffs are sort of like a one-off national championship race that happens once a year in America for a whole bunch of different car classes. This one is a super session as well on iRacing, so you qualify during the week and there's a big race on the weekend. Classes include the Spec Racer Ford, the Formula V, the MX5, and the Renault Clio. And each one gets its own race, so you can race in every single class if you really want. This year it's at Road America as well, so give it a go. Next up is the Winter Derby. It's November 26th to 29th. This is a race in the Super Late model at Five Flags Speedway. It's a short oval, it's a banger race. Not my cup of tea, but it might be yours if you're into short ovals. And finally, the Chili Bowl is on December 14th. This is the final race of the year. It's another super session, and it's in the midget dirt car, and it's an intense race on an indoor racetrack, which is kind of cool. This is one of the biggest dirt races in the world as well, so it's always mental on iRacing. So be prepared for flips and all sorts of different things. Cool. So that's all the endurance races and special events that'll be happening this year on iRacing. There's a couple of ones I recommend if you're new to multi-class, like the Watkins Glen 6 hour, probably the Indy 6 hour. And also stuff like the Spar 24 is good to get stuck into if you've never done a 24-hour race. And you can also just do the Daytona 24 if you want. It's like 5 corners, very easy. So that's what I recommend if you're getting into it for the first time. Otherwise, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like down below. And if you're going to be racing in any of these races, let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear it. And you can subscribe to Overtake for more sim racing videos as we go through the year. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.